Hi, podcast friends. Would you like to help all the answers become very, very deeply, profoundly popular? You can do two very simple things for us today to make us incredibly fancy in the eyes of the world. Would you go to where you listen to us and just click on 5 stars? Give us a 5-star review, and you're going to make us very, very popular. Apparently, people who can support our podcast by giving us ads and such can't do so or won't do so until they see that we have like 50 bazillion 5-star reviews. So go to your local place that you're listening to our podcast and give us 5 stars. You don't even have to write words with your brain and hands. You just click the 5 stars. How easy is that? Also, check out patreon.com and search All the Answers podcast. And there you can donate funds in small chunks that then will make you famous on the podcast. We have 3 different tiers of support. You can either get a shout out on the podcast regularly. You can come on the podcast. You can ask a question where you won't have to be on the podcast, but your question gets answered on live air on the podcast, or various other gifts that we will give you for donating to us and helping us keep bringing you fantastic, sassy, irreverent, spiritually aware content. We love you. Patreon.com, All the Answers podcast, and please give us that 5-star review today. It'll take you 36 seconds. We love you. Hello, friends of the podcast. How are you doing? How's it going for you? I hope all is well and shiny and bright and deeply surrendered and aligned and in flow. Just a small request and desire I have for your soul. Hey, listen, if you're interested in getting some really deep activation, spiritual healing, and alignment for yourself, getting clarity on your own spiritual path, and or clearing or healing anything you need cleared or healed from your body, being, soul, or spirit, join me for 3 days of star being and Christ-light healing, October 1, 2, and 3 in upstate Massachusetts, or you can join online. It's a 3-day retreat where we're gonna zap a ton of crap right on out of your system and align you with the light in a really powerful way. October 1, 2, and 3. For details, give me a little email and I will email you back with everything you need. KLRubin, RUBIN, @gmail.com. That's K as in kiss, L as in love, RUBIN, @gmail.com. Additionally, consider joining us for 2 weeks in Egypt, November 15th to the 26th. 2 weeks in Egypt, friends. We're going to go to the temples, we're going to go to the pyramids, we're going to go to the Sphinx, and we're going to be raising the vibrational field of the planet to lift the weight of the recent trauma that we've all been going through for the past year or two, from the planet itself, from the collective, and from our own hearts. So this will be a ton of healing and also like rad travels on the Nile and an integration time for 2 days at a beach at the end in Egypt. Have you always wanted to go to Egypt? Well, you should go. Now's the time. Email me, klrubin @gmail.com. That's K as in kiss, L as in love, RUBIN @gmail.com. And for now, enjoy the cast of Pod.
Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Consciousness is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, passionate. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers, what? All the answers.
You look cute, Cass. Did you have like a... Wait. Don't tell me. I'm going to guess you had an on-camera audition for... Don't say anything. A banker. Nope. Okay. I'm going to guess you did a corporate training gig for ACT. Nope. I'm going to guess you just felt like being spiffy. Or you're hungover from a date last night where you wanted to look real good and you were like, fuck changing, I sleep in my clothes now. What is it? Which one is it?
It is closest to the first one.
Okay.
I was shooting an audition as opposed to like a live on camera audition, but shooting an audition
Okay.
for a play based on Uncle Vanya, but modernized and made more contemporary, and playing Uncle Vanya as this sort of like neurotic, like, God damn it, why can't anything go my way?
So he's a Jew?
I'm awkward wearing a tie. He actually is.
Yeah. Sweet.
So, I mean, that is an aspect of his reality for sure.
Oh, Jesus. I taped an audition today as well, hence the makeup on my face parts.
What was that? Whence?
Today, this was fun. This is a fun thing to share about for the listeners who maybe don't know our weird industry as much. I've been submitting to all these New York agencies to be like, represent me, send me on the fancy auditions that I can't get on my own. And one of them had an auto respond that said, excuse me, we've received your submission, which I'm like, thank you for having an auto respond that's like, you exist, we heard you.
Right?
Yeah.
Not just peeing into a canyon.
Into a canyon. Pissing in the wind and into a canyon. A canyon in the wind.
I guess that's hollering into a canyon, peeing in the wind. And if you holler into a canyon, like, and it doesn't even echo back, it just goes, what's happening?
Yeah, like you have no fucking idea. Anyway, so these guys, there's an autoresponder and it says they send you a side and they're like, hey, we got your thing. Go ahead and put yourself on tape doing this scene. Send it to us you only have 72 hours. Shoot it like this with this thing and this kind of lighting. Don't do this, do that, go. Goodbye. And then they're like, at the end, they were like, also, when you finish all that, take yourself out. Give yourself a treat for doing a brave thing. You took a risk today. You rock on. And I was like, I love them. I love them so much.
I want you to be my agent now.
I like really do. And so they just sold me on all that. And so then I just had a blast and I set up my whole setup and I gave them 2 takes because it was like 3 lines. Oh, let's share this for the listener so you guys get a sense of just how ridiculous our jobs are.
Oh, this is what you had to read?
Yeah, I will read all the lines to you. And you know what I'll do? I'll give you both takes I did.
Oh, good.
Okay. Here it is neutral. Okay. It's a nurse in a hospital. Paternity, right? So first we just need to get a single vial of blood and then I'll swab your cheek and we'll send them both off to the lab and we should have the results in 1 to 2 days. You have needles?
Why are you cutting out? For some reason you're cutting out. I don't know. It's fine now.
Did you hear all that?
All except the very end.
Okay, so the lines are paternity, right? So first we just okay, so this is the nurse. There's 2 people in the room she's talking to, John and Gina. Nurse says paternity, right? And then to Gina. So first we need to get a single vial of blood and then to John. And then I'll swab your cheek and we'll send them both off to the lab and we should have the results in 1 to 2 days. Back to Gina. Are you afraid of needles? It's actually, to be fair, it's actually a lot more content than you usually get on. Like sometimes you'll get an audition that's literally 3 words.
Yeah.
Or a sentence. And you got to try to like, you think anyway, you got to try to put something special on that.
Yep.
Which fuck if you know what the fuck special thing they want. So you got to just be you and do your best. So, okay, you ready for my 2 takes?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one I did friendly nurse.
Did they ask for 2 takes?
Nope.
Okay.
I insisted on it. I insinuated myself.
Shoved it in their face.
In their fucking face. These pretzels are making me thirsty. Is that a line you had to say in an audition? Desmond just texted us all.
That is from, what is that from? That is a reference to some terrible, is it Joey Tribbiani from Friends?
It's so close. It should be Seinfeld. That was when Kramer was going to be in the Woody Allen movie.
That's right.
Exactly. It's like you could do anything with it or nothing or 60 different things.
These pretzels are making me thirsty.
What's the deal with pretzels?
All right, and back.
Okay, so first I did something like this. Paternity, right? So first, we just need to get a single vial of blood, and then I'll swab your cheek, and we'll send them both off to the lab, and we should have the results in 1 to 2 days. Are you afraid of needles?
Okay, that's friendly nurse. I like it.
The second one was like this. Never looking at the camera for the second one, almost ever. Paternity, right? All right, so first we have to get a vial of blood, and then I'm going to swab your cheek. We'll send them both off to the lab. We should have them back in a day or 2. Are you afraid of needles?
Ooh.
Like just cranky, tired, running through it.
So that one works well. I'm so glad you do 2, because that one fucking is awesome if you do the first one.
Exactly. But if you only do one, they go like, she's too bubbly. Or if you only do the other one, they go, she doesn't even know how to fucking look in the camera. Right?
Yeah.
But I did them like totes different. And I'm like, you're dealing with me. I'm doing two. It took 30 seconds. Everybody calm down. You know what I mean?
That brings me to, you said like, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And how they framed it up was really nice. And they told you to take yourself out and like you did a brave thing.
Yeah.
I have been submitting like crazy to theater stuff.
Nice.
And like,
Rock on. Let's high five you for that. Come on. This is coming out of COVID. Actors living their goddamn fucking lives. You do it.
The semi-positive thing about like where we're at now is every theater in the country, they have to put out their auditions, but it used to be that they would be like, they put it out on the Equity website and say like, we're having a general or we're doing this thing. And you'd have to be like, do I want to fly to St. Louis just to do a fucking thing? But now they're all, at least first level is all virtual, no matter what, just everything. And half of them are just putting their sides right on the website and just going, you know what, send us these sides. So as a result, you can just blast the country with your auditions because they're accepting all. And a couple of them will be like, thank you, received your submission. And even a couple of them, if I send to 10, including like the big, the good men and the big one who don't care who I am, maybe. But I've also sent to like, this tiny little place in Chicago, in Ohio that pays $300 a week. I'm like, I probably won't even do that. But what the hell? Put it out there.
Yeah, rock on.
Anyway, get a few responses back and recording auditions based on those responses. But this is all to talk about that idea of like, you just said, you know what, I'm going to give them 2 takes because I want to, and that's how I want to do it. And I was talking to my buddy who has no idea how the business works, but he was just talking about like, yeah, you need to only work with people who can recognize your genius. Like, and he was saying it in a way that didn't sound like me talking awesome about myself, but still that idea of like, okay, what if I literally just put out what I feel the best about rather than what I think they want?
Well, that's the whole thing.
And that's a spiritual concept right there in and of itself. That is deeply spiritual concept. Like the idea of not curating everybody's fucking experience of you, except to curating it in give the best of yourself.
I mean, listen, I listen to a lot of podcasts of like famous actors who do really well, and they all talk about they started booking shit when they stopped giving a fuck how they thought the people wanted it to go and just started being like, this is what I would do with this.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Here's what I would do.
And then you don't book the ones that doesn't match up with. Fine. Fuck it.
We don't have control anyway.
Exactly. You don't book it anyway. You don't book it if you try and do what they want, and you don't book it if you do what you think you want, if it's not right. If they don't want it, they don't want it.
How many times have you had the experience? I've had this experience 60 times. No, a lot of times where I leave the room and go, well, that was a shit show. And then I get the job.
I believe we can both point to our last play together.
Yeah.
We both left like, what the hell was that?
I was so uncomfortable. I thought that was awkward and terrible. They called me back in while I was like picking my purse up to leave. And they were like, could you do this other thing? And I did the other thing and then had like a weird handshake with the playwright we were touched. It was weird. And then
you like ended up locking pinkies or some shit.
I'm just like, get me out of this building. And then they hired me.
Yeah. We both had the same experience. Well, that was one where the playwright spoke up for both of us. I know. He told me later where he was like,
yeah,
why were you so weird to them? They were awesome. That's what we want.
Mm.
And the director was like, oh, okay.
I mean, I think more and more, and it really helps, I think, when you've directed some or like done a lot on the other side of the table, is that there's an essence to a person that either is the character or isn't. And then if they can act, basically, if they can act, which you see in the reading, and they are the essence of the character, that's the whole thing. Or if they're an essence that you now like because you saw them, you're like, oh, I like that essence. I didn't see that before, but now I get it. So you can't change your essence anyway.
No.
No matter what spin you put on it, they're going to see your essence.
And when we try and act is when we do our worst work. Like when we try and like, I'm going to do a thing that is like contrary to my essence. Like we can put a character voice on something. We can put a slightly different attitude on something, but it's still going to connect somehow to our inner self. And if we try and be like, oh, I'm actually this guy. I'm a completely different guy than I thought I was. Nah,
I mean that I gave up on that a long time ago.
I still struggle with it.
Oh, I hear you. But that's interesting to me because I always assume like I think you get a lot of your jobs because you're just a nice dude who can act. Like you can like say lines and play an action and connect to the person in front of you, and people like hanging out with you.
Yeah, well,
What else is there?
not much.
You don't have to do voices and tap dance and shit.
Well, unless I'm doing that fucking play that I've done 5 times, 39 steps. Like that is a tap dance voice
But
play.
that's a specific style. That's a farce. They want that. In which case, God, what I wouldn't give for a lovely farce right now.
Yeah.
Just give me something big and over the top I could do. God damn it.
So
fun.
Yeah. That's the shit right there. I did say the other day, I guess this was last night. I was messaging with Denise and she's traveling right now. And we haven't seen each other for a couple of weeks. And she's like, how are you? I was like, trying to be honest and not just be like, I'm fine. You know, I was like, I think I don't feel great right this moment. And then I was like, I mean, I'm mostly pretty happy. And it has to do with this not booking things. Like I'm doing all these auditions and I'm pretty spoiled in the past pre-pandemic that I booked enough to keep me happy. And now I'm putting out a lot and getting no traction and finally allowing myself to acknowledge that I'm frustrated by that instead of just being like, no, I am unattached to results because I am free of judgment or whatever. Nah, I live in this world still also.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I realized, I mean, I was sort of joking with her, but I said, oh, yeah, I just want some approval,
Hmm.
you know, because that's something I hunger for. It's my 3 nature. Like I've been working to transcend that like need for approval. But I do feel like if I got just one show, regardless of even what it was, that would be like approval. Yeah.
Okay, but let's break this down for just 1 second because this is the thing. Yes, you want approval in an abstract way. You like when all human beings approve of Cassidy, Jamal Jackson, Malcolm, Jamal, Warner Brown.
Yeah. Also,
because you are an actor, when people hire you to act, that feels validating of something essential in your nature. That let's say you were a banker, you could just go do banking. But with acting, people have to choose you to do it.
Exactly.
So I think like part of it is approval seeking, maybe. And part of it might just be like, phew, I get to be in the game I know I'm meant to be in.
Yeah.
Because it's something essential in you.
Yeah. And I think there are 2 things happening there. I think that is the deeper, more seated part of it. But the bothered part, the part where my heart is just like, I'm unhappy today. That part is, I feel like, is the approval part. That feels like it's ego. That's it. It's different. So my ego is hurting a little right now. And that makes me petulant.
Okay. I get that.
That is what I think I was responding to there. But be deeper than that is I would like to do the thing that I do.
Yeah.
But actually that feels less painful right now. I'm still pretty okay with that right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the petulance, I do believe, comes from the ego thing and not from the deeper personal mission.
Okay.
I feel like I'm getting to do the personal mission here on the podcast. And even
don't you feel it too in auditions? Just by auditioning, I always feel like I'm acting. Yeah.
I have a friend that I always call. He calls me when he has to do an audition. I call him when we're audition buddies. So he'll come over and we'll set up in the back studio here and shoot that. He was over here this morning.
I love it.
And I get to play with my friend also as a result of that. Like that's
fun
piece of that.
I have a question. Healer Brain has a question. When was the first time in your life you remember feeling petulant because your ego's not getting the approval it wants?
I don't have an immediate response of a time. I can talk about the other end of that, which is very early awareness of attention from performance.
By who?
Whoever.
Mom, dad?
Parents, mom, dad, friends. I mean, all of it. When I was really young, this is the embarrassing one. Like I have a very particular memory of like with my young friends when the parents weren't around, like doing like a strip tease, but I was like 7 or something.
Okay.
You know, and I didn't know what that meant exactly, but but like I have a very vivid memory of that and getting approval from that. Like, ooh, this is the thing you're doing. You're performing for us.
Yeah. I hear that. So then when you didn't have them going, ooh, this is a thing you're performing for us, how did you feel when you weren't doing that? Like, did you feel flat, bored, dead, empty, sad?
I think if I were to answer that, it would be me making up an answer because I actually don't have a sense memory of the denial of that.
Yeah. I think I hear all of this. This all makes total sense. I've been having this realization lately. I've talked a lot on here about having the weirdness of my own life, whereby I feel like everything I wanted to heal, it took 25 years, but I healed it all, which I know is a hard thing for people to hear another human say. And that doesn't mean I'm some perfect person or that I think I am. It just means I could feel every place in me that was broken, and they aren't broken now. I'm still a person who some people will like and some people won't like, but I don't feel broken or injured inside.
Uh-huh.
And so what I've been coming back to about all this stuff, since I sort of feel like who this person, Katie Rubin, is on the inside is a whole healthy being that I can trust now, which I never did trust her because she was really injured. It was hard for me to trust myself. That I've been looking at like the joy of when you do your thing acting wise and you go like, I nailed that. And then whether people, that the joy of nailing it and being good at it in and of itself is a joy. And I'm really leaning into that. I'm leaning into like, wait, I get to pursue what is joyful because the pursuit of it is joyful. And I think for me, it's like, I'm not even looking for their approval. I'm looking to do more of the thing that brings me joy. Like it's joyful to do it.
Yeah.
So I get to audition and that's fun. And then if they booked me, I'd be so happy because I'd get to do it and they'd be paying me to do it. And that's getting paid to do a joy thing. So I guess what I'm saying is we can get to a place where it's not about approval at all. And then it's just about the joy of it. And so I'm saying that to like, I wonder, I'm attempting here to encourage, because I know about you that you also love it as a joyful endeavor.
Yeah.
Approval or not.
Yeah.
And I wonder if we lean into like just the joy of it. Look at how fun this is. And they pay me and that's it.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is something to address or heal. Should you choose to, should you care to? Does that resonate for you or?
Totally. Yeah. I don't feel in conflict with I don't even feel bothered by the petulant ego part. You're kind of describing where I do feel like I'm at, where I'm feeling very good about like not feeling desperate to be in a play, even though I want to do it because I'm not clinging or grasping. It's more just like, well, I'll go do, my other work where I'm getting to MC something, or I'm doing this podcast and getting to talk. And that's a form of performance and that's engaging. And
totally. I think too, don't you feel, I hear you. That's awesome. Don't you feel, maybe I'm projecting because I feel very grateful that this thing could return to my life in a way where I could just be enjoying it. I think because probably you've had less fraught energy around it in your life in general.
Right.
The fact that I've moved from so fraught to not fraught makes me just like, oh my
Not
God,
fraught.
Not fraught. That'd be a
Fraught-Less?
great Fraught-Less. That's a great podcast name. Not fraught, Fraught-Less. Like Smartless. You ever listen to Smartless?
I know of it. I think I've listened to like one episode.
Pretty damn fun. I've been listening. Anyway, when you can see the different, when you once were fat and lose 50 pounds, you go like, it's amazing to be this weight. But someone who was always that weight is like, it's fine. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's the other part is I am excited to get to do it again because that I do fucking miss it. And then,
oh God, so do I.
Yeah. So it's the struggle is to want without the fraught grasping, because that's where my fraughtness comes in, is in the seeking.
Okay.
And
I'm articulating, I don't have that.
yes, good.
And so I'm saying that is possible for you as well.
Yes. And to want to just be excited about the possibility is awesome and not be
Yes.
fearful of the denial.
And so what would be the negative outcome at the denial? Like, what are you afraid of under that?
It wouldn't be any different than it is right now. Like
Well, that's your mind that understands that. But the
Right.
part
No.
of you that's afraid.
the part of me that's afraid is it'll never happen again.
And then what would be so bad about that? No joy? You wouldn't have any joy?
I would have less joy because it's the thing I've spent my life developing.
Right. Well, there you go. That
Yeah.
makes sense.
I've been so impressed by people who we've talked about this, I think, who've left it. Who just said, you know what? I'm gonna study project management.
I think the reason you're impressed by that is because you aren't yet in a place where you could leave it.
No, I don't think I might ever be.
I wonder what leaving it would do for you.
Maybe make my life amazing. I don't know.
I'm just saying, we're talking from a healing perspective about a concept in an abstract way. I keep trying to get you to go into it in your body, but you won't. You keep taking it up to your head and being like, conceptually, here's what I know. And I'm like, okay, I guess we're not going to do this then.
Yeah.
But anyway, all I'm saying is I'm trying to, just for funsies, because we're sitting here, this is what we do on this podcast. I'm sort of suggesting, like, what if we make this whole thing fully not fraught for you? What if there's nothing fraught on it left? So all it is the joy. If ever you wanted to do that, we could do that.
Right.
And we don't have to do it today, but that's available.
Yeah. Yeah. The idea of removing, it's that, like, it's funny because I just did a Christmas Carol audition also. And I said, and so I kept hearing in my head, squeezing, grasping something, covetous old sinner, which is a description of, so every time I think grasping, I think of Scrooge.
Yeah.
And it's actually a good image because it's like, oh God. That's
a really good image.
That's what that is. Squeezing, grasping, clasping, covetous old sinner. Like, yeah. And guess what? No joy.
Miserly. Yeah.
In that person who is getting what he is grasping for.
Right.
Guess what? No joy.
That's right.
Yeah.
So did you hear the sentence I said before you said those sentences?
Yes.
Okay. If ever you want to do that on this, we could do that. We don't have to do it now. I'm just stating that's a thing we could do.
Is that a healing that would happen? A removal of, a moving of energy?
Yeah. It would just be you dropping into your heart, finding the place where that one little nugget of you fears that you'll never have it again, sitting with that fear, dissolving it, letting it integrate into who you are. And then all of a sudden you'd be like whole in that place.
Why the fuck would I not want to do that?
I don't know. You're very weird.
That sounds fucking great. Let's put that on the docket. If that's what we do in the records today, cool. I'm in. Okay. I really am. Yeah. Sounds great.
All right, great. Now, I'm going to put a pin in that. I'm glad I finally communicated that.
I'm just going to jab a pin right into my heart.
I'm going to do some voodoo on you right now. I'm going to get this doll out and murder you.
That's the wrong use of that word. Just to let you know.
Is it?
And it's been a mischaracterized concept throughout history.
Tell me more.
Voodoo, the Haitian, mostly Haitian. It is actually a religion that may have some corollary aspects to what we think of as voodoo, but it's not about zombies and pins and dolls. That's just one of those things where, you talk about.
No, I'm glad you're telling me.
Where we say like voodoo doll.
Or gypsies.
Or gypsy. Yeah, it's similar to the gypsy idea. It's like, yes, and also no. That's, it's a mischaracterized concept.
So in the voodoo religion, there's no pins and dolls?
That I know of. There may be some version of like making a thing of somebody with something in order to connect to them in some way. But I would say it's a deeply mischaracterized, or it's a all we know about voodoo is the voodoo doll, and that it's a bunch of savages who make these witch doctor things and jab pins in bodies and they die.
Yeah.
Or maybe they know about zombies because of the serpent and the rainbow from that movie in the 80s.
Okay.
But it's just, the idea is just like remind ourselves that where that comes from is an actual place, that actually human beings with deep roots practice a very complex and deeply spiritual. It seems weird to call a religion deeply spiritual. It sounds redundant, but a deeply like connective religion that isn't about torturing people with dolls.
I mean, here's the thing about that. I'm really glad you're saying that. Because I don't know I'm certain what it is the racist history of there was a moment where some white guy or lady said, I don't know what the fuck she or he said, but now all I know of the word voodoo is pins and dolls. That's literally all I know.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I'm glad you're saying it.
Yeah.
Now, this makes me think of the thing that I was talking to you about off camera and off mic that I wanted to talk about today, which is the magical mystery tour I had seeing Rami's play.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. Listener, are you sitting down? You probably should. If you're driving, I'd say pull over. Not really. But so, my God, I'm trying to think of how to even fucking start this fucking story. I'll say it like this. I've had the pleasure of sitting energetically through the Akashic records in Rami's soul alignment fairly regularly lately.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I don't want to spill Rami's life story here. So I'm trying to be, I'm not going to say the context, you know what I'm saying? So in so doing, I have found myself in a group situation stating in words what my experience is. You know how I do here on the podcast. Amy Lizardo comes on and I go, oh my God, it's like this inside of you. And it's like that.
Right.
You're like a bright, shiny light. Okay. With Rami, when I'm in there, it's like, Gah! I'm pretty sure we have permission to talk about this. And I guess we can find out after and cut this if we don't. How about we go like that?
Great.
Okay. Because this is all complex.
Yeah, you can reach out to Rami and ask, say, like, this is what I said. Is that okay?
And I did get permission after this all happened to talk about all this on the internet. So I'm assuming this is similar to that. You know. Okay. So some profound ass stuff has happened when I'm in Rami's soul alignment. Profound. And what I was shown the last time was something along the lines of this. And I'm going to say it not as well as I did in that moment because I was channeling then, but it was like Rami's body and being are literally a portal through which the earth gets to express itself spiritually in the with the collective of humanity in a way that the earth cannot express itself without Rami. Like Rami is a kind of like, I didn't even know this was a thing until sitting inside of Rami's being. Rami's a kind of like, emissary of the earth light. So I'm in there and I'm describing this to the group of people that we're doing this with. And then a couple days go by and I'm driving to Boston to go see the play that Rami is the star of, the lead of this play. Every fucking monologue this character that Rami got cast to play gives is exactly what I saw in Rami's Akashic records. I'm saying the character is Dionysus in a modern setting. And for those who maybe don't know, Dionysus is all about the earth, bringing the wildness and the bacchanalian nature of the earth back to a modern civilization that has become obsessed with like cleanliness and clean white lines and tidiness and no sex and everything's dead. And this character of Dionysus shows up in the form of a landscaper in a cul-de-sac of white ladies who really need their lives shaken open. Okay, so the play is about how do we bring the wildness and the bacchanalian natural connection to the earth back to our lives. Okay, and it's spoken of through the metaphor of this hurricane that hits, which the play was it was written after Superstorm Sandy happened, where everybody in the Northeast was dealing with hurricanes and the wildness of nature. Okay, so I'm in the play. I'm sitting in the audience. I'm watching Rami say words. I wish I could quote some of their monologues, but they were like, and the nature spirit, and I am the portal of the light of the earth. And I'm going, that is literally what I was sitting inside of you with 3 days ago when we did this spiritual channeling thing. So then I'm crying, in the audience, and I'm having the experience of several things at once. One was like, just the gratitude to be shown things like that. It's so special. I feel very humbled to get to see this kind of shit.
Yeah.
Number two is like, just when I think I've lost this gift, I regularly go through this feeling of like, well, I don't think I'm a healer anymore. Like I'll heal another nugget inside myself and be like, that might have just killed my ability to do psychic shit. Well, let's find out. And then it turns out I'll have another experience like this and be like, oh, I'm still there. Okay. So that, and then the third thing that was the most trippy, profound thing, and I'm going to try to articulate this and I hope I succeed at it. Watching the play, I realized, okay, Rami did not wake up on a Tuesday someday and go, because I am a vessel of light for the earth, and because the earth needs me to exist in order for itself to fully express, I will audition for this play where I will play a character that is an earth vessel speaker for Earth. There was no conscious choosing. There was no calculation. There was no managing of that. There was, at some point, they did an audition because they liked the play, I guess, and they booked it in San Diego, or it was written for them. Right. She told me that, or they told me that, and you told me that. Somebody else saw Rami and wrote a role with Rami in mind, and it was this role. So then Rami got to play this role before in California, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Now, look here's what I'm saying. Rami didn't call that playwright and go, I am this type of person. Would you please write a
Right.
role for me? The universe orchestrated that. In other words, this playwright, this woman, was like, Rami, Dionysus, Bacchanalian nature, return to the typey, writing a play. And then the playwright said, Rami, will you come read for this? And then Rami nailed it, never knowing that they would one day have a reading with my random ass where I would say to them, and by the way, I knew nothing of this play ever, where I would say, by the way, you're like a portal for the earth and you're kind of a Dionysian, kind of Bacchanalian. None of us knew any of these things were happening concurrently, but they were.
It's even more orchestrated because actually somebody else played the role originally, because where it got produced, they had someone in mind. And even though the playwright had been thinking Rami when writing the play, just because that was a useful tool for them to write the play with, while they're writing it.
Okay.
And then the San Diego production comes around. Rami just auditions for it on their own. Has no communication with the playwright, who is their friend, but just was like, I'm just going to go get this. And the universe was like, finally.
Yeah.
And boom, dropped it in. And then contacted the playwright, and the playwright was like, what? You're doing? Oh my God. I'm not sure. I think this production might have been a little more, this version might have been a little more, everyone went out and got Rami. And I'm not sure about that part. But for that first time, it was like, Rami had to go out and say, but the universe was like, you were supposed to play this before. Why didn't you?
That's what I'm saying, is that there's a way that okay, and this comes back to a human design concept that is to say that our free will, we got into a really good talk about this in class the other day, in my healing class, because of this experience I had had. Our free will is innately and intimately tied in with the predetermined everythingness of everything. In other words, we think of free will and predetermination as being opposing of each other. I now understand, because of Rami's stupid play that they're in, that they are one thing. In other words, as we follow our truth, you could say, or our desires, or whatever your version of that is, as we be authentically what we are and we do what we desire to do that's true for us in the heart, that is, and we choose things consciously. We're choosing, right? We think, from my Katie Rubin free will, I'm choosing to audition for these plays. So I could choose not to audition for them, right? But I'm choosing to audition for the plays. Then let's say I book something that is perfect for me. That was already set up. See, we think like we have, I'm not articulating this very well. I watched the play and the curtains were pulled back for me, and I saw the matrix of reality that human design attempts to describe all the time, where Ra, the guy who channeled all this human design information, he says that we live in a no choice universe. No matter what you do, what's happening is going to happen. So audition or don't audition, whatever's happening is going to happen. So, but then what humans do is we apply our free will to the moment. We go, I want to go to the laundromat. And then we go to the laundromat, and then you meet your husband at the laundromat and you get married and you're so happy. You think you did that, but the free willness of you was predetermined that you would free will that. Cassidy's staring at the ceiling, and I'm just waiting till the penny drops, or if the penny drops.
Yeah,
like, what if there's no separation between, what if the thing you think that when you do that thing, that denies predetermination? What if that thing actually creates it, or is in woven together with it so intimately that you can't separate them?
Is there such a thing as like resistance to the predetermination? And that's what like,
I think so.
When we are in, I might be getting this wrong. I'm going to say some words.
I'm learning as we talk.
When we're in flow, as that's one phrase we've used, or in alignment.
Yes.
What has been determined for us or laid out for us, or the path that has been presented for us by the universe, by the angels, by the whatever, by the thing.
Yeah.
By the all that is.
Right.
Then, so what our will can do is
align with it or not.
Is align with it or not.
That's it.
So when we go contrary to it, we are actually stepping off of the predetermination path and entering into a little more of a, I don't know, that's the other world. That's the other place that doesn't necessarily And then the universe has to be constantly recreating the path for you as you resist
Well, I think that piece
the determination.
I agreed with all of it, and my head is doing the yes thing, all of it up until that last part where I don't think the universe works hard to get you to blah blah blah. What I think is, and I'm getting all this from the combination of what I've seen in the records and knowing a bit more about human design every day, a little bit more, because that shit is fucking mind blowing. What I think is that you yourself, the vehicle of you, feels uncomfortable when you're out of flow. So you course correct to come back into flow, or you don't. So let's say you just resist your truth.
And you just get more and more unhappy and
That's it.
and broken and wounded. And
That's it. And then you come back next time to like, maybe you're going to listen this time to the vehicle of you. See, I think the vehicle of you, the body, the heart, your psyche, the whole vehicle of you, whatever we're calling Cassidy Jamal Brown, it is guiding you every millisecond toward what is joyful, what is fulfilling, what is satisfying. The question is, are you listening? Are you following? Are you choosing?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So when we just resist, that's okay. The universe, you don't necessarily get punished. It just doesn't go well. And you're
I think
unhappy.
we've definitely. Yeah, this is just another framing of this concept that we've, like you said, it just doesn't go well when you do it the other way.
Yeah.
And there's just like it kind of boils down to a very simple thing. And we could frame that as free will versus determination. But also, the simpler way for me to grasp that is what you just said. Like,
so then if you look at, that's a good point. When I look at, here's the thing about artists. Okay. This is why I think we were getting to see this through Rami in this context, this group of people, right? Was because as an artist, artists tend to be more sensitive, or you could say more in touch with themselves, their sensitivity, their awareness than the average bear. And so artists can help us all. They're here to help the collective remember to tune in to themselves. It's when the collective doesn't tune in that we do things like destroy the planet, create trash dumps that kill us, kill the ozone layer, all that, when we're not tuned in.
mm-hmm.
So artists are so sensitive, they don't have a choice but to tune in. And when you tune in, you wind up on your path, the path that is laid out.
Uh-huh.
But if you're not tuned in, you could just avoid the whole thing forever. And then you could look at the question, then it gets even weirder, because you could look at like, well, what if you just what if your design is made to never tune in? And I get a yes on that there are people who aren't here to tune in. They're here to run the post office, for example. Like my point being, they're here to do things that don't require tuning in. And so what if that's their predetermination? It doesn't even have anything to do with tuning in.
Right. So, they're in flow, but it's just a different kind of flow.
That's it. That's a yes.
You know why? Partially because I think when we get into self work, we might also be more likely to go against our own flow because we're grappling with things. Yeah. We're like, I'm going to grapple with this idea. And as a result, I'm getting in my own way. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true, I think. But I also think people who overthink are sensitive. They're sensitive.
Yeah.
That's why they're overthinking. So because it's uncomfortable to be that sensitive. So we go to our heads as a way to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Or safe. But those people have a hard time not staying on the path, not tuning in, not doing the truth thing. Like, I'll tell you, I'll put it for myself. Like, I am in a place right now. It's very interesting. I can't not audition for stuff. And and anyone listening, I was in a place where I couldn't audition for stuff. Like, it was not correct for me to audition for a while there. When I was in Colorado, and even before then, I was like dunzo. And then now it's a new moment, and I'm in my Uranus opposition, for those of you who know about human design. And so it's back because it's true for me. It's true. And part of how I have such clarity and confidence about it's true for me is because of, like I said at the beginning of this conversation, I trust my inner workings now. I trust them now because I didn't trust them for a long time. The whole life I didn't. So I was sort of like in an attempt to heal. Well, let me reframe that. Because my path of healing had a lot to do with divine light and still does, I had to like fully surrender to the divine light path, which took me away from the earth path in a certain way, sort of like took me away from life. And then it sort of completed its work on the 3D parts of me, the here and now, the relative, the me here now, lady Katie, who has a house and a dog and is friends with you. And that Katie is functioning now. The machine works so it can do what it's supposed to be doing in 3D now. But also this shows up in human design because I'm what's called a 6'2", and the 6'2s come off the roof at 50. Anyway, it's all set up. It's all there. It's very surreal.
You're coming off the roof at 50. I mean, that's, I don't know, joke to be made because I don't understand what it means.
Well, essentially means that a 6'2" person has 3 sections of life. The first is like full of trauma and fucked upness. The second is you're healing and integrating from that trauma. And the third part is you come off as an expert in your field or like a leader who people, a role model that people look to. And what they say is that your Chiron return when you're 50, you become someone who's like officially trustworthy by the world. But you're everything until 50, you're working towards becoming that.
All right. So I can't, so you're telling me I can't quite trust you yet? Mostly, but just not all the way.
Maybe.
You're getting
I
there.
don't know.
Though. You're real close.
I'm not real close.
You're really close, Katie.
Not
You're like almost 50.
I'm not.
You guys, she's almost 50. Anybody who's looking to date Katie, she's really close to 50.
I'm not close to 50. Okay, let's be fair. I'm closer to 40 than I am to 50.
Yeah, I know you are.
Thank Christ on the cross.
I am closer to 50 than I am to 60.
Oh, God. We're all going to die.
Yeah, at some point.
But like soon.
I mean, it's likely I have this exact same number of years left based on my grandma who lived to be 103.
But don't you feel like time is speeding up as you get older? Doesn't time feel faster than it did when you were young? It just speeds on by as you get older.
But...
So you're going to die real soon.
Okay, fine. I'm going to get on that treadmill.
Even if it's 50 years from now, it's going to feel like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
You're welcome, listener. You're welcome. This is my downer for the day. Oh, God. So I saw through Space and Time because of Rami's play.
Great.
And I wanted to share with everyone the predetermined magic and mystery of everything. So follow your instincts and trust yourself and choose from free will and know that like by choosing from your free will, you're actually living into what was already chosen. So enjoy.
I like that. That was another way of putting it that felt more clear to me. Thank you. You boiled
My
that
pleasure.
right down.
Yeah, I think I needed to hear myself say it too, because then I got it better too when I said that.
Language is dumb. It like,
yeah.
Did you ever?
It is.
Do you ever think about how like it's sometimes I get mad in like political debates or whatever when people use metaphors because I'm like, that's not actually the thing. That's a metaphor.
Okay.
Meaning you're taking something else as though it is the thing or equal to the thing, but it's actually not. It's not like you can say, look, you can't you can't lead that horse to water and make him drink. And I'm like, but we're talking about welfare or homelessness.
Yeah.
Like, can we talk about the person and not a horse? Because a person and a horse are two different things.
I see.
So metaphors bother me, but then I get really caught up in my brain and I go like, all language is a metaphor because we're making mouth sounds to stand in for an idea
or to stand in for an experience.
Right.
Like somebody being homeless on the street, that's a fucking experience.
Right.
And you could say it's a nightmarish experience. Now I'm going to say it's hard to live on the street. That doesn't match those word sounds I made. That doesn't match the experience of what it is to live on the fucking street.
Yeah.
But,
so we should just never talk. We should just emanate concepts psychically to each other.
I think now let's go here. I really, and that's a yes. I really get that in
Stop talking. Is that what the yes was for?
Yes, that in our higher incarnations, as this race, humanity evolves toward the light more and more and more, we're going to take a form eventually. Maybe it's 1,500 years from now that is emanating consciousness rather than using words. You know how I know this? Because the beings of light I communicate with in the records, they're already like that. That's how they function. They transmit energies at me. And then I try to fucking say them in words to everyone here. And I sound like a maniac because words are dumb. But they live like that. The Pleiadians and the Syrians and the Arcturians, these guys, they're here so close to Earth right now, helping us out and up leveling our consciousness so actively because we're close, quote quote, to becoming that. I mean, 1,500 years sounds like a lot to us, but that's a fart in the wind to the universe. 1,500 years, farting, wind, nothing.
No farts or just
no
wind.
fucks, just wind. Anyway, I think we're absolutely going to be beings like that eventually. Don't worry, everybody listening to this, not anytime soon.
Oh, what if I want that?
Oh God, I want it. Here's the thing, tangential to that, but related. You know how there's a lot of people in the world who, well, you know how there's some people in the world who really believe that, like I have a friend who has friends. That sounds so bullshitty, but my friend, let's call her Erika. That's not her name. Erika's friends in New Mexico all live in a commune together, like just a community together, because they all agree that a very particular set of spaceships are coming back to get them. And they're like, if you interacted with these people, you'd be like, these are grounded, intelligent, sane humans. They're not like wackadoos wearing like tinfoil shit on their heads, right? So you'd interact with them and be like, wow, all y'all, you went to Yale? Okay. And you guys think, all right. Now, something that Erika and I have talked a lot about is I'm always like, when people say like, they're coming, the aliens are coming, I'm like, they're here. What do you mean they're coming? They're here all the time. They're everywhere. Come to Manhattan and look around. They're everywhere. They're here. It's not a big, when are they coming? But I personally think that what that's about is the desire that those folks have to be taken away from this plane and to evolve into the, like, I believe that if aliens took us away, or I should say when they come and they take people away, and I believe, people get probed. That's real.
That's all I want.
I could do that for you.
Okay.
You don't need an alien to probe you.
No, but that's what I want. I want an alien probe.
I see. Sorry. So I don't do it for you. It's got to be like a Lemurian probe.
Yeah, oh God,
does it need to be
exciting?
Does it need to be made of like dolphin dreams?
Why the fuck would I not want a dolphin dream probe, Katie?
In your butthole?
Whoa. Yes.
That's not where you want it?
No, that's where I want it. Anyway, you were saying.
All right. When people get taken on quote, quote, ships, okay, I believe they either have to be in a room that is sectioned off from the consciousness of the rest of the ship, such that those people can exist in human form.
Okay.
Or they have to be suspended in some kind of consciousness or space that allows them to maintain their human form. Or they have to be transmuted into a form that can stand to exist in the realm that these fuckers exist in, because they don't live how we live. They're not in 3D with nervous systems and skin and teeth and shit. They're like space that coalesces into kind of a consciousness. Okay. So I think the folks in New Mexico, my friend is hanging with, I think they want to not be in this form, just like a lot of us don't. Now, I don't think that means necessarily these aliens that they think are coming aren't coming. They may be coming for them specifically to take them in a ship and change their form. But whenever someone says that to me, I think what they're saying subtextually, like unconsciously, is like, I'm sick of this form. Please make me any other form than this, because this form is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I can understand that.
And maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe they're just fucking that alien. They're coming, and they're coming to that part of New Mexico. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I have a similar story. I have this friend, not a friend of a friend. Let's call her Katie.
Oh.
And she believes that there are these alien beings, and they're among us right now. And they have to take a coalesced form. But
what are you doing?
Like, if you met her, you'd be like, she's cool, she's grounded, she's smart, she lives in the world. You went to college and grad school and Amherst and Davis, and like, I mean,
fair enough.
No, I was just amusing. I was like,
fair enough.
Yeah, and
my point being, I'm describing.
You're to others, you would be that thing that you are describing of these folk, and I don't think that diminishes your point at all. In fact, it actually increases your point. The point being,
I know
that the way we perceive our desire, or the way we see the thing that we are seeking or whatever spiritually, is a reflection of what we want.
That's right. And you know what's trippy is I would have said, let me say what's actually true here. There's a thing that's been happening for me where I'm like craving the divine light a lot less in my life lately. And I think it's because the paradox is that the divine light healed, it made whole that which was not whole in me. And now I don't need light to fill what was not whole. I'm whole. So I don't miss the light so much. Isn't that funny? Like, I still love God and all the divinity stuff, and I do my prayer thing when I'm called to, but I'm experiencing my three-dimensional self with my will and my control and my power. I'm experiencing my 3D Katie Rubin-ness as divinely made, finally. Like this thing here, with all the ways that it is correct. How it is correct. And if it's correct, then there's nowhere to go. I don't need to seek anything because I'm whole.
Well, that really speaks to everything we've been talking about today, of like the more you're in alignment or in the truth of wholeness is like your 3D experience, like through spiritual healing, your 3D experience becomes more spiritual,
right?
More aligned, more transcendent. I love what you just said. That really touched my heart when you just said, my 3D experience is divinely made, or this body that I live in right here is divinely created. And I love that. And I bristle usually at divinely made. It feels very Christian and deterministic in a way that I have a lot of problems with because of the frameworks of Christianity and other things. But the way that was presented really just went deeper into a heart place for me, and it wasn't about,
oh, good.
And on the third day, God created your body.
Yeah.
It was more just like, oh, I am stars.
Yeah. 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 It's something that people said to me for so long in the 12-step rooms. And I was like, that's a nice idea, but I don't believe you. They would say, like, you are God. You're made of God light. You're fine. Okay. Remember when we had Reverend Georgia on?
Yep.
Reverend, right? She is a preacher, or what's it called again? A pastor of the Science of Mind Church, which is not Scientology and it's not science.
Christian Science.
Christian Science. Science of Mind is anyway, what they believe is you're whole, perfect, and complete just as you are. Now, I used to go to her church and listen to her services and be like, yeah, but here's where I'm confused. I'm not actually.
Right. I'm broken and wounded and damaged.
And I can feel where I am. And I personally needed to be broken. I needed to be unbroken. I needed to be made whole. And I wasn't whole, perfect, and complete. And no matter how many times I repeated that mantra, it wasn't true for me. I was not. Now, here's the paradox. Having done all these fucking 20 years of all this fucking work, and now feeling whole, perfect, and complete, not perfect like a perfect person, but perfectly me.
Yeah.
I understand what that sentence meant then. What it meant was, underneath your injuries and everywhere you're broken, there is something like the essence of you is undamaged. So, but for me, it was important to be able to feel that as true. So I needed to heal the things that made it impossible for me to experience my own wholeness.
The word you, in that sentence, that first sentence, you are whole, perfect, complete. You are whole, perfect, and complete. This totality of experiences in this vessel with all these injuries and wounds
can't experience the truth of that.
Right. You are not those things. And that's that idea of disidentification.
Right.
I am feeling sad right now. I am not sadness.
Right.
So your experiences, your wounds, your damage, your pain, all those things, your trauma, that is not you.
Right.
The you in the middle of it all is whole, perfect, and complete.
That's right. And I would offer this. I think sometimes that idea, you're whole, perfect, and complete just as you are, is presented to folks who are so traumatized and don't know a way out of the trauma. So they need to believe that their traumatized self is perfect as it is. Like, in other words, believing you have to heal it or change it is painful for people, because then you suffer inside of the parts that are not healed yet.
Right.
So I think some people, that's enough of a spiritual path right there, is just to believe I'm whole, perfect, and complete right now with all these injuries.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough. For me, it wasn't enough. You know why? I've always had this weird knowing. But see, this speaks to my specific life path. I always had this knowing that there would be a day where I would complete the healing of the traumas and I would feel whole and not have to pretend or manage anything or talk myself into something or positive thinking on top of it. It would just be there. It would just be true. I just fucking knew that. And I also fucking knew I wasn't there. In the same way that, like, okay, let's say you join a kickball league.
Yep.
I don't know why this is the metaphor coming to me. And you go to day one and everybody's good at kicking the ball and you're not good at it because you've never done it. And you want to be the badassiest kickballer out there. And you're watching Jenny and she's on second base and Jenny is fucking...
Can we say baddest ass?
The baddest ass kickballer out there. Okay. Jenny is currently the baddest ass and she's on second base and you watch her and you come and you work out with her and you do the squats and you kick the ball 100 million times. And you know that if you hang out with Jenny, one day you'll be as good at kickball as her. And then eventually you are and you become the all-star player. Hallelujah. End of story. That's how it was for me with injuries. I knew I would meet people and go, you are whole, aren't you? And I wouldn't say that to them, but I could tell. And then I'd be like, I'm going to fucking get that. And I fucking got it. Now, does that mean that that's what everyone should do? Definitely not. It just means like I was driven to do that. And then this brings me back to the determination point, because what makes one person driven toward that and another person perfectly fine to go, yeah, I've been raped and traumatized and beat up and I'm all fucked up and I hate my dad and everything is misery, but I'm whole, perfect, and complete and that's enough. What makes one of us like, no, I'm not though, and I'm going to heal it? And what makes the other person go like, I'm good? In other words, I can't take a lot of credit for having done any of it. It's just been what this system was going to fucking do.
Where is your judgment, if you are having judgment, about that other version? I'm whole, perfect, complete, just as I am, as fucked up and damaged as I am.
But that's the thing. I don't think I have it. I think that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I want to just touch on that. Like, how does that function? Is that also a useful framework?
Of course. That's my whole point. What if that person is meant to do exactly that? What I'm saying is that healing is available for everybody, I believe, if you desire it and if it's part of your freaking life path. But I would never deign to say that because I had this weird drive to do this, other people therefore should. I would just say, if you want it, you can have it, which brings me back to the first thing we were talking about today about you, where I'm like, that little nugget of you that goes like that piece that's like the clinging piece that's, I don't know, whatever, not at peace around
my Scrooge self.
Yeah, we could clear that. We could integrate that.
Well, I think we have about 20 more minutes if we want to do that.
We have one more minute.
Technically speaking, and we've only recorded about an hour.
Okay, well, I don't want to do it today.
Oh, that's fine.
I want more time.
This is good. Let's put a pin on that one.
Yeah, I want time in the game with that one. Anyway, yeah, all of that. I don't know. I mean, because as a healer, like I'm always looking through my own lens, right? And to answer your question another way, it's like through my lens, I look at the person who's like, I'm whole, perfect, and complete. But you meet them and you're like, ooh, but you're not. Then I could help that person. But I don't believe I should or they should be helped. I believe like if you desire it, you could have that.
Yeah.
But it's not my business to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. Who the fuck am I?
There is some level of discernment where, I mean, that's like toxic positivity is a concept of like, I am whole, perfect, and complete. I am a whole, perfect, and complete. I am whole, perfect, and complete.
No.
And then that's when you go, are you?
Yeah, exactly.
And like, so you could use that to hide from actually being whole, perfect, and complete.
Well, and that's my whole point. That's what most people are doing with this whole like affirmations and all that. It's just a way to put a Band-Aid on top of an injury without ever addressing it.
Right. But if you could use it, I think this is how I'm taking it. I do like the idea of being able to hold that as a truth, like you did in a sense, maybe within the vessel of injury and pain and trauma, and to be able to say, to be able to love yourself and have self-compassion by knowing that you are whole, perfect, and complete somewhere. But it's not like I'm done. It's like saying, that is why I want to do this work. It's why I want to heal the injury.
That's good.
It is why I want, because this beautiful, gorgeous, stunning diamond of shiny Christ light is covered in crusty poop and old dirt.
I get it. Yeah.
But guess what? Inside there you are whole, perfect, and complete.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to polish that diamond? Why would you not want to, as opposed to, I am shit, fix me.
Correct.
If you are shit, why do I fix you? Like there's not, you don't, there's nothing to fix if you're shit. But if you are actually a beautiful thing that has injury, I'm working this out in my head as I say it, but like that, yeah, like I'm having my cry response to this idea because it feels very true. Like that self-criticism, if it's to the core, we got a problem.
Yeah.
So like, it's not, it can be toxic positivity to say, I'm whole, perfect, and complete. But it can also be, God, that beautiful thing that I am. I would love to meet that whole, perfect, and complete being.
There you go.
And he is right now covered in a couple of layers of
fecal matter. Yeah. 100%. That's really nice. I like that. Yeah. I've been looking for wholeness forever, and I found it. And after a lot of things, was it always here? I think so. I just didn't have access to the experience of it because of the injuries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I wonder if that's what they mean in that particular denomination. Like, if that's what they mean, I kind of wish they would explain it a little better.
And not just give it as a aphorism that could be taken as, I'm done.
Yeah, like a platitude that you don't probe more deeply. Back to probing.
Yes.
I'll probe you deeply. Sorry, Denise. Just kidding.
I think
I'm not going to probe him.
Would like a video of that probably.
Oh, all right. That's cool then.
Cool.
Well, I want to say to our listener that if you desire it, we have a Patreon page now. You can go to Patreon and search All the Answers podcast, and you can patronize us. And if you
can be patronizing,
we will be patronized by you. And what that means is you can pay little tiny microscopic amounts of money per month that you won't even miss.
Why limit it? You can also pay gigantic, huge that you also won't miss.
Oceans of money.
Because what is money? It's just energy.
It's wind. It's God's
fart in the wind.
God's fart and through the window of life. You could patronize us at various tiers and you will get gifts from us. And one of them that we just built, by the way, Cassidy, today on the old Patreon
what did you promise?
site.
Am I going on some dates? What's going on?
You're going to get probed by a lot of people. No, we are going to make special content for you at the suggestion of Desmond, because he's a genius, that if you patronize us at a certain rate of money, we're going to record sassy, irreverent chit chat on a topic of your choosing, okay, for you, separate and special, if you become a patron at that level. So check out All the Answers podcast on Patreon, and please patronize us. We are terrible people. We deserve to be patronized.
Patronizing.
Just we're stupid and we're beneath you.
No, we are your patronus.
Ooh, sexy word usage.
Yeah, that's right. Patronus.
Put that patronus right in me. Yep.
Wow. Patronus.
Probe-tron me.
Also, keep doing the multiple, 5.
Oh, yeah.
Thing. Stars.
Boy, you are articulate. Here's what we mean. Here's what Cassidy meant to say. Please go to the places where you listen to us do these crazy conversations and review us by giving us 5 stars in particular. That's what we need you to do so that more human mammals, the way the algorithms of our alien overlords work is that if you don't give us the 5-star, you're the best podcast ever reviews that we need, more humans literally can't find us. The algorithm works like if you 5-star us, then it can find us and tell more people about us. Oh, and I have one more.
Yes, I want you to add that. And it has to do with Apple Podcasts. Everybody, here's the thing. Even if you don't use Apple Podcasts as the way you listen to us, it's the best place to review us, frankly. Most of the other places you listen to us won't allow you to review us. So even if you listen to us on Google Podcasts or Podcatcher or Podbean, if you have any access to Apple Podcasts, jump on there, sign in, say, yeah, these guys are awesome. And then you can jump back over to Podbean and do your thing.
The way you say we're awesome is you do 5 stars. Thank you, friends.
Well, if we do this and we are successful, we can perhaps climb from number 214 on the Swedish
spirituality
podcast rankings on Apple Podcasts, which is
Okay,
where we
let's just-
currently are.
Let's just say that plainly to people. Listen, we listeners, because of your diligent following of us in Sweden right now, we are number 216 in the spirituality topic of most listened to podcasts, number 216 spiritual podcasts. That's us
In Sweden.
in Sweden.
I don't know where we rank in the US or in Guam, but in Sweden,
We're doing terribly.
we are 216.
216.
We charted.
Okay.
I'm just excited that we charted in Sweden. That means people in Sweden, several, are listening to us.
I wonder how many people in Sweden have to have listened for us to be 216.
Because there's probably even in Sweden, well, because they all have access to all of them. There's, 12,000 spirituality podcasts.
Okay. Good point.
I have no idea how many there are. We could look it up maybe.
I don't want to know. I'd rather believe there's 12,000.
And we're 219 out of 12. That's pretty good. I'm pretty
That's
excited
real
for
good.
us.
I'm
All
proud
right.
of us.
We got to get the fuck out of here.
Okay, love you. Do your work.
Do your work.
Okay, do your work.
Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
Gross.
Mixed and edited by Desmond McNeese for We Mixed It, LLC. Go to whatsoundsawesome.com.